Welcome to another Down the Rabbit Hole video. This is a very unusual angle I'm filming from, but it's necessary. What I'm doing is, remember a while ago I got the MiniVex Pedal that I could use in the Vectrex, and it's actually hooked up right here. This is the other half of the device. The designer actually told me, don't forget, this thing actually works on the Atari 2600. And I thought, that's going to be kind of interesting because I don't know a lot of games that would really benefit from a pedal setup. I mean, as awesome as this is for the Vectrex, it really works well because that's a 4-button controller, and I found that for some of the racing games like Pole Position and that, it was really, really handy. The Atari controllers, like the pedal and the driver, I do find they're pretty good just as is, just, you know, use the one button alone. It's a pretty ergonomic solution. So I thought to myself, well, let's test this out. Now, my Atari, I don't know if you can make it out there, it's actually a modded Flashback 2, but I've got a harmony cart in the front of it, so I can play pretty much anything, and on as legit kind of a setup as possible. So I'm going to just show off what games are like. So we've got Circus Atari loaded up here, and I'm just going to give this a whirl. I can't use the controller and the pedal at the same time, so I'm going to kind of just do a combination of both. My paddle looks a little jittery, so let's hope this fixes itself up. But let's give this a whirl. It's not bad. I think I might have to get used to it. Again, that paddle's very jittery. But one thing that is nice, actually, I am finding, is it allows me to concentrate strictly on the side-to-side motion here, since my foot is taking care of the actual reversing of the platform. So it might actually be very useful for Circus Atari. I'm going to give a couple of other quick games a shot here, especially driving games, but let's just see. Man, I wish this thing would stop being quite so jittery. Okay, well, that's Circus Atari. Let me switch to another one here. Here we are doing Night Driver, which is the kind of purpose for which this pedal is originally designed, to be a gas pedal for a car. Let's try it out. I've mentioned before, I'm not as big a fan of the Atari 2600 version of Night Driver. Love the arcade original, but this is a bit of an acquired taste, this one. But let's try it out as a gas pedal in this game. It works. It's not terrible in a terrible game. Yeah, it feels like I'm driving, but I'm thinking, you know, for the sake of the one button on the controller, this doesn't seem to be a great sort of killer app. Whereas at least with Circus Atari, it kind of helped with not distracting me from trying to get the clown to land on the platform. It's alright. I'm just terrible at this game. And this is Medieval Mayhem, Spiceware's awesome rendition of Warlords, which is actually better than the original one, I think. Oh, I'm not doing well at all here. Okay, let's catch. I want to catch the fireball, which I need to hold the button for. Ah! I'm dead. Alright, let's restart. That's terrible. I have to say, I'm actually finding one disadvantage of this pedal for this game, but let's give it another go just to make sure. Okay. Capture the fireball. Okay. Main technique is to get that corner guy first. just... And there we go. That's him toast. That's a better start. Okay. But I will say, I'm actually finding having to use the pedal for this is actually distracting. Like it's not ergonomically making sense to me as a control option. So I think I would actually just use the button on the controller itself for this, capturing the fireball, because it's just, oh, hey, maybe we'll win after all. It's always the guy in the corner that's hardest to get. But yeah, I think I would actually, yeah, I think I'm going to die. I think I would actually prefer to play using the button over using the paddle, or the pedal. And I think that's immediately going to be obvious because I'm about to die here. But now I hear you say, wait a minute, you're not using it for the one game it was really best intended for. Using the driving controller, you want to use it on Indy 500. I got to admit, I can't get it to work in Indy 500. I've got it plugged in. I've selected button number 4, which is what it was working for all those paddle games. And if I plug in the controller, and it's in there fairly snug, if I now try to launch the game, or put my foot on the pedal, nothing happens. It happens if I push the button that works. Like, we are getting connection. There you go. Hope you can see that the car is moving when I apply power with, or gas with the button. But when I use the pedal, nothing's happening at all. And that's not just in position number 4. If I try any of these positions on the MiniVex pedal, that's number 3. It still doesn't move. Same with number 2. Doesn't go anywhere. And position number 1. It simply does not go. It does work if I use this one. So that would be awesome if I could get the gas to work, but it's not working with the MiniVex pedal. I've tried everything I can with this thing. It simply doesn't want to work when I apply the gas. So I'm thinking there's maybe a flaw. I know the driving controller actually uses a different kind of protocol internally compared to a paddle, because I've discovered that when trying to do various things with the paddle on the Vectrex, you just can't get a paddle to work. It can only be a driving controller, etc. So the way this thing is read is different. And I've also talked about how whenever you use the driving controller in various games on the Vectrex, like there's a Tempest clone and stuff, it works great, except for you can't use this button in the Vectrex game because it's in some weird range of reading that the Vectrex doesn't understand. So I wonder if the MiniVex pedal is similarly just not comprehending. So I'll just unplug it here. You know, you only have the 4 selection options, and I've tried all 4 positions. It just doesn't want to read it. So I don't know what's going on there, but it does work for Night Driver, even though it's not a great game. And it does work with other games like Circus Atari and Medieval Mayhem. But I think for Medieval Mayhem, I think I would rather just use, this is the driving controller, but for argument's sake, I think I would rather just use the button for my game, because trying to remember to use this is a little hard. Also, there were some games like TaxScan and stuff that I tried where you're shooting using the paddle controller button, but using your foot to actually shoot doesn't seem to make any sense. And then there's other basic games like Breakout and Kaboom where, okay, it doesn't really matter, you barely use the button at all. So anyway, so the MiniVex pedal does work with the Atari 2600, just not very well to my experience. Sure, mine's a flashback too, so it's not a genuine Atari 2600. Maybe on real 1977 hardware, this MiniVex pedal plugged in with the driving controller, it will register the button for playing something like Indy 500, but that has not been my experience. So I'm perfectly happy though, because this thing is great for the Vectrex, and that's actually the original purpose that I got it for. So I'm going to stick with that. It's great that it optionally can work with a 2600. Perfect. Just maybe not for my needs. So anyway, just thought I'd do a very quick video to show off that yes, definitely the MiniVex pedal will work for the Atari 2600. Just maybe not for Indy 500 or a variety of other games that I would have liked it to work for. Let's get this unraveled here. All right, so there we go. A little bit of an experiment. Unfortunately, didn't work out that well. But until next time, we'll see you down the rabbit hole.